88.9 FM.
A very wonderful good evening to you, all dear listener. It's another interesting edition of our discussion here on Burst Radio 98.9 FM Owerri. I know, yes, earlier we had two female guests here, and we had a male and a female, and today we are having two wonderful men in the studio to discuss another interesting topic to this hour discussion we normally have here on Burst Radio. Alright, and this discussion is from Alliances of Africa. Today, we're going to be talking about amplifying citizens' voice for a healthy democracy. I must not avoid to welcome who I have in the studio. I have Ozosike Chigozie, the media professional. So you are welcome to the show.
Good evening, Nigerians. Good evening, Imolais.
Thank you. I like the word Nigerians. Okay, we also have Ugwoti Okechukwu, the monitoring and evaluation man from Kara Development Foundation. Am I right, sir?
Yeah.
Good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, listeners. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, like we do before, before we delve into this topic proper, we'll have to look at the angles to this topic. You see, the topic is amplifying citizens' voice for a healthy democracy. We've been talking about this from different angles, and you know what, it is still the same way it is that you are going to be part of the show. So when it's time, we are going to open our phone lines for you to make your contribution or even ask question, which will be addressed clearly. All right, now the topic again, amplifying citizens' voice for a healthy democracy. We'll see that we'll have democracy standing out there, and then we also have amplifying standing out. And you could agree with me that before you say let us amplify something, that is, it is done somewhere. Okay, so before we go ahead to talk about ways to amplify this voice, this me and you voice, let's quickly look at democracy holistically. Just a brief. Sir Ozosike, can you talk about democracy? Let's take it from there.
Okay, democracy, of course, since 1999 has come to become a household name. For me, is a participatory government, participatory governance, a government that brings the citizens, to be part of the governance process. So that's what basically democracy means, a government that brings all and sundry on board for the development of the nation or the state.
Okay, that is quite right. So if we're talking about democracy, just like you rightly mentioned, the government for the people, and the government by the people and for the people, that is a government where everyone has to be actively involved in decision making, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So do you think, looking at our country, Nigeria, do you think it is happening here? Can we say that true democracy is in existence here in our country?
Of course, we cannot deny the fact that we are in democracy system of government.
Okay.
But the question will be how much of those tenets and values of democracy are we bringing to bear.
Okay, so that is the true democracy.
Yes.
All right, let me go over to you, Sir Ugoti. Go ahead, talk a little bit about this. Do you think it's in play, that is, it is playing out in our country today?
If you look at the word democracy, which the simplest definition everybody knows is government of the people,
by the people,
for the people.
Yeah.
So we have purportedly a democratic system, right? So, but when you look at the whole elements of democracy, you realize that what we have in Nigeria is not a full functioning democratic system. So because it lacks some of the ingredients, some of the things that makes democracy in other civilized and developed world. So
Okay, so for me, I feel a little bit of sectionalization in our country, a situation where you see that one region they will always come in power and they want to benefit their own region. Another one is also fighting, let it come to our own place so that we also benefit our own people. Judging it from this way, do you think it is playing? Let's look at it from this angle.
Okay. Well, for me, that shouldn't be what democracy should be. Democracy should be. I remember when we were in school,
Okay.
it's an even distribution of resources, irrespective of where one comes from. Those resources, the dividend of democracy must be distributed equally across the states, across the zones. So that's just like my colleague said, the issue of trying to favor one region against the other also brings to bear the big question of democracy. If actually we are practicing the real democracy that the other countries, like America, Britain, that's not. I don't think that's the kind of democracy they practice. Because if you get to this country, you see uneven infrastructural developments. You are not going to see a state that is, that has dearth of infrastructure, and see the other one blossom, even getting infrastructure that that state does not need. That's not the democracy we are talking about. We are talking about where every state is equally placed, as long as it has to do with infrastructure.
Yeah, at December, right?
Yes.
Okay, you are the listener. We are live on Boss Radio 98.9 FM, where that is on Facebook, and we are also streaming live on YouTube. Same Boss Radio 98.9 FM, Owerri, and then you can also call us in to contribute, especially to know if democracy is in full force in our country today. You can tell us from your own angle how you see it, how you view it, how you feel it's treating you, the democracy we are practicing, that we say we are practicing. All right, you are free to call us in on 090 922 29922. That is 090 922 29922. Or you call us on 091 226 77989. 091 226 77989. And you can also send us a WhatsApp message on 080 6999 2999. 080 6999 2999. All right. We want to really dissect this topic today, so that people will know the angle we are looking at it and then benefit from it. Okay, now what area do you think that democracy governance is impeded in our country? Which fair do you think we are not getting it right?
Well, very recently the citizens have not been carried along, in the governance process, and that is why you see a whole lot of clamor about non-inclusiveness in governance. So we think that it's about time that citizens are brought online, as long as governance is concerned. Because let me tell you, my sister, if the leaders scheme out the citizens in the scheme of things,
okay,
we can no longer be talking about democracy.
All right.
If our leaders try to take away the opinion of citizens, what does it mean? It means that they are already weeding off those powerful, wonderful suggestions that could come from citizens to enable them build on their political capital. That's what I call it. Are you getting the point?
Yes,
because
if
that is done, you will see that everybody will be at par, because you already know that you are part of the process. You have contributed to the process. So this issue of we are not being carried along will no longer be there. I wish the leaders will understand it, that until we get the citizens involved, we might be giving democracy the opportunity to begin to veer off into authoritarianism. Are you getting a point?
Yes, please.
So if we bring the citizens on board, we are going to be frustrating those ugly non-democratic hells that want to rear their heads up and then frustrate democracy, will frustrate them when you carry the citizens along. So that along the line of taking decisions, you're already carrying everybody along in that line. At the end of the day, it's just like three of us who have decided. Just like if you go to the Bible says in Amos chapter 3 verse 3, it says, when 3 or 2 agree to do a thing, they can move mountain. Yeah. So when the leaders and the citizens come together and take perfect decision that concerns everybody. Because I used to tell us, if we don't come together and place our ideas on the table, at the end of the day, it's going to backfire, and both the leader and the led will be in for it. But when we bring our ideas together and discuss with open mind, I can assure you that this development will come and every one of us will benefit from it. That is democracy.
Okay.
Yes.
One thing is to identify a problem, and the other is to address the root cause of that problem. So looking at, can I say this started from time immemorial, like since we took over independence from the right that we are ruling us? Can we trace the root cause of this a lack of true independence, true democracy in our country or in our system of governance?
Yeah. Okay, let me come in here.
Yeah. You're free.
When we talk about this democracy or the things that are lacking in our democracy, we want to look at, in fact, it's just to say our democracy is sick, right? It's sick because it has a system. There is a system that's supposed to be working. The whole components, everything that we need. The reason we have the judicial, the executive, the legislatures is because we want a democracy.
Of course.
But before we can have democracy, these systems must be working. So the first problem we have is that the systems that are set up to work in a democratic environment is not functioning. Now, if you come into the legislative arm, you see that we're supposed to have these people representing the people. The House of Assembly, let's take Imo State for instance. You have the House of Assembly who are supposed to represent their constituencies. When they come in, they discuss the problem of their people. And that's what they should represent at all time, so that decisions that are made in the states reflect what the problem is in the local places. So now, but when you have people who don't even know the people they are representing, so what you'll be wondering is, what interests will they be representing? They will eventually not be representing people's interests, but their own interests. Now, when you trace it back to the, let's say, pre-independence, down to the independence, and then post-independence, you see that from the time of when power was being handed over, from this time, there have always been a struggle for true democracy. So if you look at the first civilian government, you will realize that, check when Nnamdi Azikiwe, there was a history I was reading when he was once elected to rule over the western region, and he was pushed out because he's not from that place. So it began to look like a regional thing. Go to your place. Bafemi Awolowo will rule us. He's our person. Then Ahmedu Bello will rule us. He's from the Arewa region. So Nnamdi Azikiwe should come to this place. So because there is no balance, there's no understanding of democracy as a common interest. So people think it is an individual thing, an individual battle. So when people are in position to make decisions, to make contributions for common interests, they seem to convert it to personal goal. So, and it has continued. And so it becomes a thing of, when you go, you take your own share. When you find yourself in a position, you take your own share, because you will not know when you see yourself in position again. So, and that is mostly what brought us to where we are.
Okay, I've also noticed that in our own country today, being Nigeria, you would notice that some persons, when they produce candidates, they look at the ethnicity of the person most times to support the person, even when the person is a square peg in a round hole, that is not fitting. People tend to, from its own region, tend to support that person, so that the person feels that our position, with the thinking that the person is going to fall back and favor them so much. So do you think it's also playing out to at least hinder this true democracy?
Okay, for me, see, another thing we need to look at so that we don't go out of context is you will discover that before now, citizens used to be very vocal.
Okay.
In issues that concerns them, especially issues of governance. But in recent past, citizens used to be vocal. But of late, you will discover that the citizens have gone docile. The level of docility is also part of the problem. So we also want to encourage citizens to begin to speak up on issues constructively, on issues that has to do with governance. We cannot be docile. We can't lay back and then keep complaining about what is going on. We need to get involved. That is why their voices need to be amplified.
I can feel one scenario. When you visit newspaper stands along the way, you see people gather there. When they pick up a paper, they start talking about it. The government are not doing us this. The government is not doing us that. So, what is the right route to channel their complaints, so to say?
Good. See, that's why we are talking about those little voices need to be amplified. How?
Okay.
One, we need to remove the blockade. You will agree with me that the civil society space, or rather the civic space, has been shrinked, reduced, such that you could see tiny voices coming out from there.
Okay.
So that is about time we try to amplify, expand that voice or those voices. So that, because now let me tell you, my sister, what government hates is when people come together and speak with one voice. That is why at any point in time they wouldn't want people to speak with one voice. So what we need to do is, first, we need to open up the civic space where the government will understand that they also need these voices to make very valid and powerful policies that will affect the people. Because whatever policies they make is not for them, but is for the people or for the citizens. And the leaders are also part of the citizens. So what they need to do, just like you talked about those voices at the newspaper stands, what they need to do is to begin to have themselves fall into capacity building.
Okay.
So that their voices, because sometimes you could be speaking and making noise, but you are not making any sense. You also notice that when people gather together and keep saying, we no go agree, we no go agree, or this thing is good, this is bad, you also discover that when you remove one person from that group and ask the person, nah, this one you're saying we no go agree, what is the problem? You will discover that more often than not, they don't even know what
the problem is.
Yes, what the issues are. So the citizens will need very strong capacity building to begin to understand the policies of government, because government policies, you also need to understand them.
I see the angle you're coming from, but most times we have like mind like this you're talking about sprout out. They want to stand up against the government that is not treating them well. But most times you see them when the government see that they are really coming up, they want their voices to be heard. They give them what you call keep quiet tip. They find a position, give to them, and maybe give them money to shut them up. So in that case, do you think people also like to stand up? Because the leader they are looking up to all of a sudden is backsliding. He doesn't want to go up again.
Okay, let me say something here. The problem we have, one is, will I call it the issue of transparency in the system, and the problem of information management. Proper information management. People don't have information. That is the highest challenge we have in our society. Many persons who have problems don't even know the right channel. They don't know how to engage with the government. Even though the government might not be doing very well, there are strategic procedures. If you want the government to listen to you, you don't just come out on the road and start shouting. You don't just begin to make noise. Or when people gather and read news and they're saying this thing is Nigeria is bad, Nigeria is this, it doesn't change anything. If you take the election that was just concluded for as an instance, you will hear people who say this, we have to change this government is not favoring us, and all those kind of things. And I was in a bus one day and I said, do you have your PVC? And the guy said, it doesn't count. So people usually believe that they can't do anything about it.
And sometimes as if it's true.
No, I can't say it is true, because sometimes it's just that the approach they are taking to it is not right. Now, if you have not casted your votes, and when votes have been casted and counted, and then you come back to protest the results, there's nothing you can actually do about it, because when you go to the court will declare based on the election results. So I want to cite an instance. Now, there's a project our organization is implementing as an anchor. We have a group of CSOs and medias working as Agri-Budget Plus Cluster. Now, what we're trying to do is that across Imo, Abia, and Ebonyi, we're trying to achieve an increase in agri-budgets to at least 5%. So, what the procedure we're following is advocacy through campaign, and public sensitization. Now, as so far, I can tell you that we're achieving results.
Okay.
There are offices you think, if you say you want to tell a member of House of Assembly that this is the problem, you might be thinking, like, how on earth will you see a member of House of Assembly? But they have offices, they have visiting hours that you can go there. If a community says their road is bad and it has to be constructed, you don't come in the middle of the year and begin to tell the government, begin to protest for your road to be constructed. So through this advocacy we are going for, you are able to know when budget is being prepared. And when you know that, then when you press in the issue, it will be part of the budget of the state from the very beginning. And then you continue to press in with the government. Once it's in the budget, then you even have more ground to argue and quarrel and shout that it be implemented. But when you did not do any of this, and the government have done a budget for the year, this is what we're going to do for the year, and they begin to implement whatever they have said they will do, and all of a sudden you come out and say, does this government not know that there's no hospital in my community? There's nothing they can do that year till next year. Until next year, it's only if somebody brings up the issue. That's when they will know, okay, they have to put building a hospital for your community in the budget. And that's only when you can agitate and ask for it to be done.
Okay, so all you are saying is that knowing the right time to ask,
yes,
and not just ask anytime.
And the right channel to follow.
Okay, the right channel. All right, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this a lot. That's ways we can make sure that citizens' voices are heard, and then in a way promoting true or healthy democracy. All right, we're going to go for a short musical break. When we come back, you know that you, our listener, you can call in or also visit our Facebook page, that is Boss Radio 98.9 FM Owerri, to drop whatever be your opinion about this topic we are discussing. You can also air out your view on how we are going to amplify citizens' voice so as to promote healthy democracy. And if you have tried one of those steps we are bringing out here and it didn't work for you, you tell us, how did you try it? How did you do it? What was the challenges you faced as you were doing it? That would be helpful too. Alright, we are also on YouTube, that is Boss Radio 98.9 FM. Till we return, stay tuned.
When other stations hear us, this is what they sing. Boss Radio 98.9 FM, other stations' nightmare.
This place is rocking and rumbling. Disbelieving. Fantastic.
This thing not be just game, not live. It go carry person up and down. Sometimes it go make you laugh. Sometimes it go make you sound person. It go totori your body. It go charge your body. Everywhere go soft. Now the new football season, GoTV don arrange to summer you all the better ball for Spanish La Liga, Italian Serie A, Premier League, FA Cup, and all the UEFA games wey carry weight. And Bobby, rush now go collect your own GoTV decoder wey carry 1 month free max subscription for only 9,900 naira. Make yourself balance for front chair take enjoy the new football season because na good football we dey talk so. Go TV, love it.
If anybody give you banana, sky. If sugar daddy give you cocaine.
Ụmụnnem ndị ikorobịa na ndị agbọghọ Imo steeti ọ bụ gịnị ka anyị na-anụ ife a kedụ ihe a na-eme ele ihe a na-anụ gbasara mkpụrụ mmiri na gusoro biko ndị na-enye unu mkpụrụ mmiri na gusoro na unu ọjụkwa na ha ma ndị nne ha ma ndị nna ha ụmụ ha na-aṅụkwa mkpụrụ mmiri ya biko unu ma na onye ṅụsa mkpụrụ mmiri ya jide nna ya na-atụ ihe ife jide elders ya kpụ ihe ịbụrụ o nwere ike kpọrọkwa nwanne nwaanyị kwa ya iko biko nu ụmụnne m mkpụrụ mmiri na gusoro ọ ga-enye gị obi ọma ọ ga-eweta ego enweghị ọ ga-emere gị na-awụghị imebi ndụ gị biko nu eji m Chineke rie unu ụmụnne m na ụmụnna m ụnụ aṅụọ na mkpụrụ mmiri ụnụ Imo steeti karịrị 500 ma ndị mmiri employ directly ma ndị mmiri employ indirectly biko ụmụnne m na ụmụnna m ụnụ aṅụọ na mkpụrụ mmiri aha m bụ Evangelist Mike Ikokwu ndị youth Imo steeti ahụrụ m ụnụ n'anya.
Don't do drugs, do us. Boss Radio 98.9 FM, Owerri. Radio for the boss mind.
Welcome back. Right, welcome back. We are still here on this discussion of amplifying citizens' voice for a healthy democracy. I'm still your host, Ihadindeme Chidima. You can call me Adango Wala or Ogene Wanyoma. And with me here in the studio, Ozo CK and Ugu Oti, a very wonderful and dignified personalities. We are dissecting this topic and we also want you to be part of it. Remember, we are live on Facebook, that is Boss Radio 98.9 FM Owerri, and we're also live on YouTube, Boss Radio 98.9 FM Owerri. You can always send in your message, your contribution, what you think about this topic we are discussing, not even a question that you want to ask or anything you want to be clarified on. You can also go ahead and call us on our studio lines that are 090 922 29922, 090 922 29922, or you call us on 091 226 77989, 091 226 77989, or you send us a WhatsApp message on 080 6999 2999, 080 6999 2999. All right, let's move on. You some time ago, news maybe a day ago or 2 days ago, the tribunal election petition committee, they debunked, the chairman he debunked a message that one of the members debunked or absconded from being member of the judicial personnel that are part of looking that are amongst those looking into that election tribunal petition that was brought up by PDP and then Labour Party challenging the incumbent government. Now, one of them was of the reason that that anyone who is kicking against the current government is fighting against democracy, and that might lead to an end to democracy in Nigeria. So, Saul Osike, do you agree with that?
Well, I have not taken our time to read through the lines of the comment of whoever that is speaking.
Okay.
But what I need to say on that is democracy is for everybody, and everybody has to get involved in ensuring that the dividend of democracy gets to everyone, and that is, for me, what counts. It doesn't matter who is there. What is important is the dividend of democracy should be evenly distributed. You see, why there are hue and cry here and there is because infrastructure have been lopsided and taken one side. If that goes across all, there wouldn't be any problem, So what I'm saying is citizens must also sit up to have the right information, because if you don't have right information, just like my colleague said, you may not be taking the right decision. So when we have right information, it also behoves the citizens to begin to share same, to ensure the furtherance of democracy, so that we don't keep peddling wrong information, which at the end of the day will have a backfiring effect. So we encourage citizens to make sure that at any point in time, information they have is verifiable, is the truth, and can be shared, and so that we don't keep sharing wrong information that will at the end of the day bring us to a wrong pattern of democracy.
There was a statement that said that if someone appoints you, there is no way you're going to work against the person. So some persons made out the statement that in this our country, that election is not in place, rather what is in place is appointment. Okay. All right. Okay. Very well, good evening to you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Hello, good evening, my good people in the studio.
Good evening to you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Yes. My name remains Frank, that always call from Worsley and precisely.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Frank.
Yes. I like the topic which people are treating is very good. Honestly, because frankly speaking, it's good for we the citizens to be filled, to be briefed the way it's supposed to be, the way and to brief, to get the real information of things and getting it wrong. But it pains me a lot, the kind of government we are into. Honestly, it pains me, the kind of people, the kind of leaders we have today in the seat of authority, the way they do things, not following the due process, not following the right way of doing things. Look at, you can see the way it is in the country today. Our local government is nowhere to be found. There are some certain things. During my early education, I learned that there are three arms of government: judiciary, executive, and legislative. But today, honestly, the executive, it's like the way I'm seeing it, like the executive have hijacked the other two arms of government. Honestly, it makes me a lot. Because these are the reasons why things are going so wrong. Things are not going really the way it's supposed to be. Look at it, we are in a country today. They are talking about the issue of palliative. But if you can see that our refineries, no refinery is being functioning in our country today. It makes me a lot. This palliative, where is he making us to? Talking about giving palliative 8,000. What can 8,000 do for a day? Even as I am now, 8,000 can't buy my data in a day. But our country, they look at for some weeks now. These have been the news. Palliative, 8,000 palliative. It becomes a news.
Okay, Sir Frank.
Look at the issue we are talking about our petroleum. How can in a country where we only focus on petroleum, we don't talk about agriculture, and our agricultural system is going down. I am advising our leaders, if we can focus enough in agriculture can give us money than this so-called oil and petroleum.
Okay, Sir Frank will feel the anger in your voice, and I think majority of persons share the same thoughts. All right, we are going to react to it, but let me take this message from Facebook from Beatrice Asozo Amadi. Let me call it like an Igbo lady. All right, they say, nice topic here. We can only get this right if we truly follow the definition of democracy. The voice of the people, majority, is not being heard. Those that are not able to reach directly to the representative, but can do that indirectly, like through media, should be considered by confirming their claims. Thanks, may God help us all. Beauty from Ibu. Thank you so much for that wonderful message, Beauty. I think she's pointing at something that we should work through the media. All right, a very good evening to you.
Hello, my very good dear lady. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Welcome to the show. Your name and where you're calling us from? Nze Ihezo. Welcome, go ahead.
I come from Paradise.
All right.
Yes,
All right, Nze Ihezo. Go ahead, sir.
my very dear sister and there from the part of Africa. They represent Africa in Nigeria by their name. I want to say here that the democracy we are practicing in this country, Nigeria, is not the real democracy because our constitution.
Could you please amplify your voice so we can hear you
Every
well?
country is being ruled by the constitution of the country. If a country has a constitution that is made up or that is formulated by civilians, the civilians will know the type of things they will inculcate into that constitution. But the 1999 constitution, which is still in book here in Nigeria today, is the outcome of the military. In other words, the military shaped that constitution to suit their interests. For that reason, until today, that constitution has not been amended. We have called for national conference where all the people of Nigeria will come together on a round table conference to talk, to discuss. If I am from Igbo, I will bring about Igbo's issues. So if I will bring about the government issues and so on and so forth. When all these issues are brought from different parts of Nigeria, then we discuss on how to bring down the book constitution. But when we announce talking about how can Nigeria be ruled, how can Nigeria be held, who is appointed who will obey who, this will be streamlined there. But whatever we do, we should be operating within the constitution. But in this case, there is no constitution. Therefore, I am saying that until Nigeria reviews or reviews or completely have a new constitution that will rule us, that is when I will agree that democracy is at work. Now, let's look at what is the military constitution is doing to work now in Nigeria. Appointment, executive, parliamentary, and also the other one, judiciary. Who and who? If the executive appoint the judiciary, then the people elect the men who go to the parliament. When they go there, they will be placed by the executive. And sometimes, if they do not do what the executive wants, it means they will be relieved of their, or they will be, somehow fought against. They won't be means if you are asked to vote for.
All right, sir. I think we've gotten your point. Thank you so much.
What I want to say is that, for whatever reason, this our country, Nigeria, until we review our constitution, whatever we are doing is just
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nze Ihezu, for making that wonderful contribution. I think he's trying to tell us that the constitution is not in tandem with what we were practicing. Okay, he is of the view that it should be amended or a total rebranding, like making a new constitution that will suit us in this part of the world. All right, okay. I want to talk about this. So I want to also talk about this. You see, constitution. There's a way the constitution is enshrined that the executive has a lot of power. Most times, the person occupying the executive seat appoints most people. And then when this appointment is made, the masses are not being considered. And if the executive appoints the person, there is no way you work against your boss. You always want to carry out what your boss, who appointed you there, is directing you to do. So in this situation, do you think democracy, the voice of the people, can be amplified?
Yes, of course. I see. Well, the last speaker, that's his own opinion. For much as we know, we have a constitution. So until we have another replacement, we must make do with what we have.
So how do we survive in this constitution?
What we need to do is that's why we need to thank Alliance for Africa, who is the implementing partner here now in Imo State. And I know that project is being supported by CISLAC and MacArthur Foundation. Am I correct? So what we need to do is to begin to amplify our voices. Now let me tell you, we need more voices, constructive voices that will speak on the policies of government. We need more voices that will be very civil. We need voices that will not be confrontational, just like my colleague said. You know, if you are very constructive, you could see how wonderful it is to work with government. It's a demand and supply affair. So we need voices. Now, let me shock you that the leaders are not greater than the citizens. Because even when you count the citizens, you are invariably going to count in the leaders.
All right. Hello. Good evening to you.
Yes.
Your name and where you're calling us from?
Okay. My name is Frank. Hello.
Okay, Frank, you're back.
Our presenter, please, may I know your name?
All right. Ihadinduemechidima. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I thought that if it's fake, because your voice so similar like his voice.
It's all right, sir. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, concerning your statement, what you have been saying, talking about citizens are more powerful than those our leaders. Really, the citizens are strong, but my brother, honestly, the way it is now, those our leaders are assuming now. If you watch in our country today, there is no protest anymore. During that, I can remember in the early 80s, people do protest. Maybe if there is any issue, you find maybe any decision the government takes and which the citizens are not happy on that decision. The citizens can protest.
Okay. Mr. Frank is suggesting that citizens go through protest. I don't know if you support that view. All right, you can also call us on 090-922-29922, 090-922-29922, or 091-226-77989, or send us a WhatsApp message on 080-6999-2999, or visit our Facebook page, that is Boss Radio 98.9 FM Owerri, or you also go over to our YouTube channel, Boss Radio 98.9 FM Owerri. Be rest assured that any message you drop there will be read out for people to know your opinion. Okay, there's a person who sent us a message on Facebook here. She was suggesting that we use the media. So how strong or how viable will the media, the two media, what importance will it be to the citizens in amplifying their voice?
Let me say this before I go straight to that. A healthy democracy has some variables that you will see in it. From when we define democracy, in a healthy democratic system, you will see that human rights is upheld. There is participation. There is transparency, we've mentioned. There's accountability. There's representation of all regions, of all races, of all tribes, of all ethnicity.
All right, we'll get back to that, please. Hello, good evening to you. All right. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Your name?
Welcome to Best FM.
Yes, you are. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Chidi from Prefab.
Chidi.
From Prefab.
All right, go ahead, please.
Your guest, the way he's talking as if this government is reachable, this thing is saying about amplifying voice and doing this and that, speaking out. What happened in Kansas? Everybody is here in this country. What happened? Since then, what has government done about what happened in Kansas? People were murdered. So you bring thoughts to just scuttle what you are doing. And you're telling me to go speak out, amplify my voice. I don't understand. How do we really do this? Is it sustainable? I don't just understand. Let him clear the air. Let him tell us how to go about it.
All right.
Speaking and speaking grammar here. Speaking grammar doesn't help us. We've been speaking and nothing is happening. The government put a death here to everything we have said in time past. Let that guy, give us the real way to do this, please.
It's all right. It's all right. We've heard you. You have a question. How? Either you should make it stand at how.
He sounded very impolite.
All right. You should please be polite.
Yes.
Please be polite when you call us in. All right. Good evening to you.
My dear.
Good evening. Your name?
Thank you so much. I want to thank you so much. We are Nigerians. You have to be very, very not so much worried when you see people using languages they like. I want to say people should be very careful of the language they use.
Of course.
And
Having said this, although it was a still, I
All
want
right.
to say that I want to live to see a Nigeria of a day when the constitution will tell us that nobody will contest any election if on seat. As any sitting councillor or house member or governor or president will not contest election unless he or she resigns 2, 3, 4 months to the time of election. That will be one. And again, to see a country where the constitution will tell us that when an election is conducted, nobody will be sworn in until after all the cases in court, even if you are Tribunal or whatever, even if it lasts for 2, 3, 4 months. Let there be interim government until that person's cases are clear. I will be happy. But in this case now, see, when we have a constitution that tells you will be on seat and contest or bring out of a will contest for you and so on and so forth, you can find so many things will go wrong. And again, the question who will tell you have to appoint somebody who will be the head of this, the head of that. Then at the end of the day, you will have that particular body with funds. If the body is not given enough money, it cannot operate. Therefore, what I'm saying is that we are all Nigerians. I want to pray my good people there, the Voice of Africa that is there, or that's an NGO or whatever. Please help us to reach out to government, to reach out to the people. Coming to on radio like this is good. I know you come here once every year or thereabout. Let us have a town hall meeting in our localities and local government level. I may not drag you to the community, at least at local government level. You go to those places. You are being funded by this body. I don't know. I'm not trying to say you are given enough money. But whatever money you are given to, let them arrange it in a way that you will be going down, sinking down at the local government level. When you do this every year, I think by the time you do it about 4 or 5 years, Nigeria will be a different country altogether that we can embrace America or Britain.
Right. Thank you so much, Olu Eze, for making that powerful contribution. All right, let's get down to the topic, to this business proper. How? Let's go ahead to how. How do we amplify the voice of the citizens for a better democracy?
Okay, number for me, one is so I will go straight to the point. I feel the concern of those that have called. One is we need to expand our civic space. There is shrinking. We also need to build capacity of citizens on state policies to be able to understand the policies of government, because it is from there that your voices will hinge on and then begin to get amplified. We also need to get involved in what I call peer-to-peer capacity building by global networking. We also need to have the right information and communicate same. We also need to connect to very strong social platforms that help amplify issues of governance. Somebody talked about how are we going to do that. So maybe that person can pick this, because you can't speak, just like a lone voice. You need to find a way to connect your voice. I connect my own voice. We all connect our voices to social platforms that will connect you to other voices that are speaking on that particular issue of governance. By so doing, you will have built a block or a block of voices on that particular issue. Finally, you can also begin to work on citizens developed charter of demands, because citizens, we all need to get organized, and we can only do that when we come together, gather ourselves, and begin to develop on our own what I call citizens charter of demand, because with those charter of demand we could engage the government in power and begin to have our issues brought to bear. That's what I need to say on that.
All right, Sir Ugoti.
Okay, if we want to amplify citizens' voices, it is the government that will amplify citizens' voices. It's not that the citizens are not speaking, but the government have to provide an avenue.
So the same government?
Yes, the voice, because that's the citizens are the government.
Okay.
Those persons who are there are just leaders. So because they have suppressed so many of the systems that are supposed to allow the voices of the citizens to be heard, so that what makes it look like the citizens' voices are not there. So if we want citizens' voices to be loud enough, that means making it to be what is driving the system. We must go back to having someone that called in mentioned a town hall, having town hall. So there are things like citizens assembly, where people can be invited in their local government levels to come and discuss their issues and come and say what they want the government to do and what the government is not doing well. And the government have to take those things home and use it for planning and use it for their next implementation, whatever plans they have for the people. Now, one important part is where everybody is always complaining is on implementation. There should be participation in everything the government does. And when we say participation, it's participation of the common people, the participation of the public, not participation of politicians, not participation of just the House of Assemblies, who are just supposed to be representatives but are not really representing. So if there's participation, it's the people that will say, for this year, these are the problems we have, and these are what the government should address, and this is how the government should address them. So when in the end, at the end of that year, there should be a feedback mechanism where the people can come back and say, this was done but was not done well, this was done very well, and then government also takes that feedback and continue to plan and continue to improve. That is the only way we can amplify citizen voices. If that is not done, it's just some people, government of some people, by some people, and for some people.
All right, I like the way you reframe that definition of democracy. Okay. This is how we call it an end to this discussion today. I know you're part of it. You're there. You listen, and then you picked, or you've written down all these outlines that are being made so you can know how your voice could be amplified. One thing sure is that you can be heard, I can be heard, everyone can be heard. All we need to do is to participate actively, have the right information, form forums, and do all that has been suggested here today. And I assure you, maybe by his willing, a true democracy will be attainable. All right, I thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for listening. I remain Ihadindeme Lovett Chidoma. Thank you so much, and a very well good evening to you.